Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the Fintech Hunting Podcast. We have an incredible guest for you today. She doesn't even need an introduction, but I am sure as heck going to give her one. She is a taco aficionado. She is the host of Taco Tuesdays. Hopefully you check that out every Tuesday. Killer content. She's a great content creator, an incredible networker, a world-class recruiter, and a dear friend. Dalila, welcome back to the show.
Yay! I love how you introduce me. I absolutely love it. I try to give that same energy when I do like some of our amplify, and that's your thing. Like that's your jam. I can't top it. Just letting you know.
I am excited. Last time you were on the show, you were actually sitting here in the Michigan offices. We didn't have a lot of snow then. We've got more snow now. We got an ice storm today, and
Yeah.
you're in sunny Florida. So, welcome back to the show. There's a lot that's transpired since the last time we've talked. It's already January, almost to the end of January. People are
Yep.
now gearing up for a lot of things. So, first, let's talk. Our listeners, you've been on the show a lot of times, but let's talk. You are, an expert in recruiting. Let's talk about what are some of the biggest challenges? What are some of the things you're seeing as it relates to recruiting? Because I think it's January, it's February. People are all looking. Let's switch jobs. It's always greener on the other side. The floor is yours.
Yes. So again, thank you, my friend, for always having me. And yes, I've been in recruiting as a whole, mortgage 23 years. Half of that has been recruiting. And it is something that I even do, I feel like I even do without knowing that I'm doing it. It's one of those things that I do without even knowing that I'm doing it. But what I'm seeing out as we are now really into Q1, a lot of companies, they are they're always looking for good sales talent. So if you're an originator, right, loan officer, if you're a regional with a big team or an area manager, you will always have a job. You'll always have a job, Michael, right? And sales,
Yep.
and that can be an account executive as well. If you have a book of business, a broker pipeline, uh, you will always
Or
have.
if you're a vendor
Yes.
and you've worked for tech companies in the mortgage space, in the fintech space, people are always looking for people that can bring business in the door.
Absolutely. So if you're someone that has a lot of relationships and that can close, trust and believe, you will always have a job. That's just how it works. Now, the people that are more on the operational, that have been only operational in their career, or that support training, that is a little bit more challenging. That is becoming a little bit more challenging because the first thing that they cut is marketing. They
Yep.
always cut marketing folks. And those are because people do align, myself with marketing and content creation. So a lot of the folks that I do help find jobs are within marketing. I have an opening currently. They want them in like the Illinois, Wisconsin, kind of your neck of the woods where it's cold.
Well, and you mentioned marketing, and I think one of the challenges is people think everybody out there in the world thinks I could market. I've seen a billboard, I've seen a website, I've
Yeah.
seen a creative. I could just use an AI tool, I could do it myself. And
Yeah.
there's nothing further from the truth. I said this on one of my other talk. That's garbage, right?
Yeah.
You can use AI to create computer programming code. Well, I'm
Yeah.
not a computer programmer, so guess what? I could use AI, I could create code, and it would suck.
Yep.
Plain and simple. And unfortunately, some people who think anybody can do their marketing and do it well is just wrong. And I hate to say it, but some of their marketing sucks, and some of the hires, kind of show that. Let's keep talking. I want to steal your thunder, but I had to kind of throw my 2 cents in there.
I definitely, because one of the conversations that I'm having, if I present a candidate that I am very number one, that I know that I have an existing relationship, a lot of the times I know these people. These are people that I've worked in the past on other teams. So I personally know them. I know their work ethic and I just know their style. So it would be a good fit. What I am also seeing is uh,
What
there's
are some of the mistakes that applicants are making? Right?
so
I mean, I watched a recent Taco Tuesday, and I know you addressed it. I'd love for you to touch upon it here, but what are some of the mistakes that our applicants are making that is making it much harder for them to get a position?
The number one is they're not putting themselves out there. Nobody knows how wonderful and fabulous that they are and all the good things they've done in the homeownership space. They just keep doing the same old and don't do anything different. Don't put themselves out there. Don't engage in social media in any platforms, and they just
Let's
in
talk about that for a sec. Oh,
oh
this is an interesting topic. I can't wait. I'm glad you kind of opened up this Pandora's box here.
uh-huh.
So there's a difference, in my opinion, and I want to get your opinion on this in a second as well. There's a difference when we say put yourself out there, be genuine and authentic. That's important.
Mhm.
But what I see a lot of people doing as a mistake is almost kind of whining, bitching, griping,
Uh,
complaining about their situation. And I hate to say that. I know you're in a bad position. I know you're looking to find something, but would you hire yourself acting like that? I see some people out there and they're energized. They're talking about the deals they help close. That's encouraging. And then you hear other people say, "Wow, these damn companies, they're not loyal at all. They screw everybody over. Life's really hard." But and it almost seems like a therapy session that they're just dumping everything. Are you seeing that? And what's kind of your feeling from a recruiter's perspective?
As a matter of fact, I just right before I jumped in this conversation, one of the phone calls I had to tell a friend of a friend to say, "Hey," because they were crying. Now it wasn't on LinkedIn, but they were crying on their social media posts, and I'm like, "Stop it! Call them and tell them right now to stop crying." And I am not trying to invalidate your feelings. I am not trying to do that. You have every right, but there is just a time and a place for that. And social media is not one. And here, I'm going to tell you something a little personal. Okay. One of the reasons why I was like, hey, shut it down, stop it, was because some people are happy that you're sad.
Yeah, that is
Some
unfortunate. Yep.
some people get happy about that. Don't give them that.
Right. And I always look at it as if I'm
Yeah.
hiring, and I've hired
Yeah.
thousands of people over my 25 plus years here in the mortgage industry. If I have a choice between somebody who's positive, they're uplifting, they're
Yeah.
focusing on where they're going and how they can help your company versus someone who is just bad mouthing the company they just left, how they got shafted.
Yep.
I used to be remote. I now have to come in. That's not fair. I get that that's life, but the more you air that out, it doesn't help you get the next position.
No, it's not. It will actually deter that person from going onto your LinkedIn page, checking out your profile, maybe your resume, and they will X-nay you before you even had a chance to apply for the job. Like you won't even be in any kind of running. Do not put yourself in that situation, not only with your posts, but with your comments. Like some of these people's comments are very snarky. It doesn't have to be like an opening, a job opening, which was my Taco Tuesday topic, by the way. It was like people when they comment on a job posting like, yo, stay in your lane, you job seekers, right? Like, stay in your
Yep.
lane. Like, don't do that. But they're even being snarky on other people's um post,
Yeah,
right?
well, I'm glad you got a job, and not every company is.
Yeah, like
Yeah, so let's flip the script here and then talk about what are some of the things you're seeing that people are doing right then. Like I
okay.
see it, and I won't name any names, but I see some people saying, "Hey, I just went for a walk. It was a great chance to do some hiking. I have a chance to kind of regroup, get some exercise in because
Exactly.
I'm fired up about where I'm going." That inspires me. That does not detract from what they're doing. They're being genuine. They're
Yeah,
being authentic, but they're sharing stuff that will help them get
yes,
another job, that will attract people who want to work with them. Are you seeing some of that same stuff out there as well?
exactly what you're talking about.
No, and I think the world of that person, and I hope they're listening because they're doing it right.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I absolutely love that person's post, and it's very motivating. She incorporates different styles where she's at, location, a little bit of her faith. Like you get a personal kind of just with her videos. And so I
Right.
love that.
Somebody I want to know better and find out more about is someone I'm going to be much more prone to hire than somebody I'm like, man, I got to stay away from that person. All
Yeah.
right, we could keep going on this for a while. So as we start shifting, you and I do a lot of content creation for people,
Mhm.
and this ties into recruiting. It also ties into marketing. But one of the challenges that I see out there, and you and I talk to a lot of executives, is for one, people are hiring people outside of the industry. And in some ways that can be positive. I'll let you jump in a second. Some ways they can bring other knowledge and expertise, and everyone's got to be open to change. But subject matter expertise, understanding the verbiage, the lingo, the knowledge, what shows are good, what shows aren't good, what content resonates, what content doesn't resonate. Terms of art are very niche in the mortgage industry, and sometimes hiring people that don't know that can really be detrimental. Give me kind of your take on that.
I agree. So when people outside of the industry come in and they either take over a marketing department, the digital marketing side of it, what they don't understand is that even though they may know everything about digital marketing and what apps to use and what, maybe even the verbiage, right? I will give them even the verbiage. But what they don't understand and what they don't include is the human part of it, right? Because at the end of the day, whether you're a vendor or a lender, right? Whether you're in title or insurance, all of that is needed to help the borrower get across the finish line and get into their home, which is typically the most expensive purchase for the average consumer. And they take that very, very personal. And if you remove the human out of it, it doesn't resonate
The
whatsoever.
mortgage industry is a people business. That's why we always talk about how important it is to build
Yes.
relationships. One of the other things that I kind of want to get your vantage point from a recruiting standpoint, because you place people, the more successful they are, the more successful you are. Here's another area. They hire a marketing person or they hire a salesperson, and that company expects that person to do all of it. They expect
Oh,
them to do all of the marketing and all that. So there's twofold. One, the
yeah.
executives don't really understand all of the time, resources, and energy that go into it.
Yes.
And two, and this is what I really want you to address, is people that are successful doing that know when to outsource, when to get help, and when to tell people that they need help without seeming like they can't do the job. The people that I think struggle are scared to say they need help, and they sit there and try to take on all of it until it finally explodes. What are the tips you would give for that person who is sitting in that role, getting all kinds of marketing, sales tasks, business development, trade show, conferences, PR, digital, all of that thrown on them, and they don't want to say no, and they don't know how to ask for help?
So open your mouth. Closed mouths don't get fed. You eventually have to open your mouth and say something because you're going to dig yourself in a big hole and a ditch if you think that you can do everything by yourself. Eventually, that weight will come and
But
take
but
you.
Delilah, I mean, they hired me and they're expecting me, and I don't want to lose my job. I really need this job.
Then you know what? Uh, it's either you're not going to win. You're not going to win because eventually you can't do it all. I can't do it all. Michael, you can't do it all. You cannot do it all. You cannot be video and podcasting, then content creation and digital and like social media management and
PR and this.
PR and email campaigns and on and on. And you can't do it all. It's not realistic. And if you don't ask for help, not only are you going to you dig yourself into a hole, but then the company as well can, you know, it's just
It's a
not.
losing proposition, and
It
part of
is.
it, the
Yeah.
executive team has to understand what's involved, the time, the resources. The other thing is, I think a lot of people neglect the expertise it takes, when we talk about the mortgage industry being a people business,
Mhm.
let's use recruiting for an example, or I'll use PR for an example, or we do our podcast for an example. If people hire you to do recruiting, or they hire me to do marketing, or they hire me to do PR, they're not just hiring me for that one function. Create an email campaign, get an article, written. They're trying to leverage your 20 plus years of relationship building, of
Yep.
all of the connections that you have. Why you're such a great recruiter is because of the relationships you've built. You
Yes.
can't just hire someone and say, well, that task isn't that hard. I'll just do it. Or I'll use AI, or this person can create great. You could write great articles, and if nobody ever publishes them, who gives a crap? You
Exactly.
got to have relationships. So talk to me about that relationship side of why it's important to know when to outsource. It's important to understand that just because you bring someone in house doesn't mean you have all of the knowledge and expertise that you need, especially as it relates to the relationships.
I mean, it's if you bring someone with existing relationships, then it's they're like your liaison between, you know, the company and then now their relationships, right? Because they trust that person, they've been following that person, and now you get to have a little bit of like, I guess, privy, like you get to now, have a little bit of piece of that pie, of their pie, when you align with that person because
Yep. And you start leveraging their influence and everything.
they're
And
networking.
that's why we tell people, put yourself out there,
Yeah.
share great content, always be adding value, whether it's for first time home buyers, whether it's, the questions that realtors have as a loan officer, whether you're a vendor and you start sharing what are the solutions to the problems that these vendors or lenders are dealing with. That's the critical component,
Yep.
right?
And another thing, birds of a feather flock together. Okay. So if you want to be this great marketer in the mortgage industry or financial services, whatever it is, then you need to go where the other great marketing people, where they go to, what conferences are they attending, right? You need to engage with their content, see what they're doing, and even align with them, right? There's
Yep.
partnership. Look at us, right? You specialize in certain things, I bring certain things to the table, and there's a collaboration there. But you just can't just sit there and like do your job and expect that like all these relationships and then you're just going to be learn. That's just not how it
Well, we
works.
see it all the time. Somebody's like, oh, I can create my own podcast. Yes, you can, but do you have 40,
Oh,
50,
yeah.
60,000 followers? Do you
Yeah.
have an engaged tribe that really interacts with your content? So it's not just the ability to create an email campaign
Mhm.
or to recruit and read a resume. It's fostering and leveraging this. So talk to me for a second about the importance of outsourcing and where outsourcing makes great sense for some of these companies looking to grow, whether it's recruiting, whether it's marketing, whether it's video.
Well, I'll use us for an example, right? A lot of companies use us to fill in some kind of need that we specialize in, or they want our platform, right? They want access to our organically built platforms, our relationships, our eyeballs. We got over 1 million views on our content for all of 2023. Thank God, right?
Yep.
Now, if you have only 250 followers, how many eyeballs did you have? Like,
Yeah, and we don't say that in an arrogant way. We say
I
it from
know
a
this.
business
Yeah,
perspective. You could
yeah,
have the world's greatest post, and if I have that same post and you have two followers and I have 50,000, I win. It's not our bat and ball. That it's these are the rules of engagement. So, talk
yeah.
to me. We've got trade shows coming up, Dalila. How do we help people not just video throughout the year, but how do we really help at trade shows for people that say, "I'm investing in ICE. I'm
Yes.
spending a lot of money. I really want to get great ROI at ICE." Or people now are at IMB and you know, Innovators is coming up and the Gathering, and there's a lot of shows coming up in the spring season. How can we help them really get the greatest ROI at some of these conferences?
Well, you and I are already working towards ICE. We will be there, God willing, in March. So we're already working on our personal strategy on how we're gonna kick butt at ICE in Vegas. So if you haven't started, you better start because
Yep.
you.
So
But
what are some of the things we offer? How do we help those companies that say, yes, I want to maximize
yeah.
my ROI at ICE or any of the others? How can Delilah or how can Michael, how can the two of you help me?
Well, we can help you with promoting your booth, right? Like obviously you want traction at your booth. You want to be able to network and get people there. That's something that we uh talk about and we promote all the time on our platforms like, hey, Michael and Delilah are going to be here at this booth at this
Yep.
time, this day. So we can help you with that. Not only that, we can help you with a strategy leading up so that you can get meetings, schedule appointments, be seen, so that you already have a strategy in place that you can execute when you get at the conference. You're not going to
So
like,
you're saying they can purchase a package from
yeah,
us
yeah,
to do
sorry.
a booth takeover. We can interview their executives, their customers, create a buzz at their booth, get a lot of great video content that they can share for the people that aren't at the show, for the other people that are at the show that want to come. But we also have great strategies leading into those events.
Yep, we
How
sure.
do I make sure that people know I have this new offering or this new integration or this new partnership? We can make the life of your sales team and your marketing team much less stressful when you go to a show and you know, hey, I already got 20, 30, 40 appointments. Man,
Yep,
people have been wanting to schedule time with us. They saw the video. So if people want to get a hold of us, Delilah, what's the best way they can get a hold of us? They want to find out more about what we can do and how they can get ROI for their trade shows, or if they want us to do videos all year long, what do they need to do?
they can connect with us on LinkedIn. All of our information is updated. Email, our cell phone,
Phone numbers, text.
text. You can send us a message. I mean, I've had people send me videos, however you want to smoke signals, whatever works. Feel free, and we would be very open and honored to work with you, especially if you have, like you said, an integration coming out that you want people
Or
to
new
check out
product
your
launch.
product or something. Like we can help you with all that.
And this is one of those examples where, because we work with a host of companies and we've done this for a number of years, we can share best practices. We can share what worked at
Yep.
other conferences, what events, what you can do to attract people at your booth or at your executive suite. We're here to help any way that we can. That's why we love doing what we're doing. At the end of last year, at MBA Annual, we did a bunch of videos for people to give back. Now, a lot of companies are approaching us so that we can help them. Our calendar is getting full, but we would love to work with people. Delilah, any last minute thing? If somebody's looking for recruiting, they need to contact you. If they're looking for brand awareness, copy, content,
I will say this on the recruiting side. When you post a opening, you're going to get so inundated with resumes. You don't have the time to funnel through 300, even 500 resumes. Let me help you. And then, as far as for the marketing and the conferences and everything like that, to spend all that money and time to just sit behind a booth and then just pray that they will come to your booth, that's not going to work. Just call me. Just call us. Let
yes.
let us
We
help.
were talking to an executive last week and they're like, yeah, what's your strategy for the show? Well, we have 7 people going. That's not a strategy. I don't care if you have 7. I don't care if you have 10 people.
Yeah.
You've got to develop a strategy. What audience are you going after? Are you segmenting? Are you going after community banks? Are you going after banks?
Yep.
Who do you want to attract? What is it that your value proposition is? How are you articulating it? There's so many ways that we can come alongside, add bandwidth, and throw some fuel on the fire so that your trade shows explode with excitement, great ROI. Delilah, you and I could keep talking.
Yeah.
We're so passionate about adding value and helping people. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my dear friend, for being on this episode of the FinTech Hunting Podcast.
Bye.